This out of Washington, D.C., where I grew up, and it's always interesting. I get a lot of magazines and publications out of Washington. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
ICE agents are targeting D.C. restaurants. Millie's and Pupatella are among the restaurants to get a visit today. This is from the Washingtonian. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents began targeting D.C. restaurants yesterday, Tuesday, in what is shaping up to be one of the city's most high-profile examples yet of President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Millie's in Spring Valley, Pupatella in DuPont Circle, Chef Jeff's in Northwest, Chang Chang downtown, and Ghost Burger in Shaw are among the many businesses that immigration officials have visited. They're looking for I-9 forms verifying employment eligibility, and there have been no reports of detainments at any of these restaurants so far. Millie's caters to an affluent upper Northwest Washington crowd, 8 or 9 agents, some in plain clothes, others with uniforms and guns, swarmed the restaurant just as it was opening for lunch. They all came in, all of the public entrances at the same time, says owner Bo Blair. The general manager met the agents, who provided a notice of inspection and asked to question employees. The manager said that they couldn't, and they did not push back. They asked for I-9 forms the restaurant keeps securely at the corporate office, not at the restaurant. The quote, they made it pretty public that they're coming back to the restaurant to collect the forms, which is pretty unnerving to the staff, obviously, says the group's CEO, Marisa Casey. She says she's asking them not to come back to the restaurant because the documents are not kept there. We don't want them to go back to our restaurants and scare everybody, she says. They're not worried, she says, for their own sake, but they're worried for their business. We were under the impression that they were focusing on trying to find criminals, said the manager of the restaurant. This is just a whole new level of harassment to our hardworking, law-abiding employees. This reminds me of what they used to do to black-owned businesses in this country. They used to go in and check for something, just a general check of some kind, checking licenses, all the rest of it. They come in with all these police officers and law enforcement people. In this case, it's ICE agents. They come in with 9 agents for a restaurant. I mean, it's clearly designed to shake people up, but it has a horrible chilling effect on business. But this is the new world we're living in. I mean, these are, in my judgment, Gestapo-like tactics. And I really hate to always default in any way to that Third Reich thing, because I think that's used a lot. But, this is stormtrooper type stuff. So that's what's happening in Washington, D.C., even at high-end restaurants. There they are. Wow, Albert, really great job of hustling this video. So look at that. The restaurant's just open and all these people are there. This is, again, top-tier restaurant in Washington. So as these immigration policies find their way to court, there are other ways to have a chilling effect on hiring employees who can anyway have even the shadow of doubt around them. ICE and Homeland Security agents going into D.C. restaurants, and essentially this is an intimidation tactic. That's the manager of the restaurant, that Bo Blair, the owner of this place, Millie's.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
Thank you. Ron gets it. Ron gets it. All right.
It takes time for the generations of people who've really believed in these traditional Chinese medicines, to be replaced by generations who don't believe in them and realize that rhino horn is just agglutinated hair. It's like a fingernail, and, for people in Asia to understand that elephants die for that ivory. They don't just take the tusks and leave an elephant. A whole elephant has to die to, give up their tusks for your little trinket and ivory. And when people get educated and aware of these things, it does change behavior. So, obviously you and I and a lot of our listeners, we wish the change was happening faster, and that's understability. But the fact that there is change, we have to focus on the positive.
Right on. I mean, yes, even my cynical self, I completely agree with you. Find Belinda across social media, Belinda Weymouth, Waymouth. So grateful for your contributions here on Wednesdays, and thank you.
Totally my pleasure. Bye-bye.
That's It's the Planet Stupid for today.
More
It's the Planet Stupid.
No, it's the planet, stupid.
next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, I'm very sorry that we have to wrap things up. I feel like we've got more to do, but wow, what a lot of stuff we got to.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to make sure that we got to before we end the show
Yes,
is
thank
the
you.
meeting on Saturday, finally, between the United States and China. But it's interesting that in these trade talks where, there have been claims that, oh, we're talking to China, and China's like, we're not talking to the United States. Finally, they're meeting in Switzerland.
Yes, Switzerland. It's Swiss Miss.
And they're not coming to us, Mark. We're going to them. We're going to Switzerland, Besant and crew, because it so happens that the Chinese are going to be headed through Europe. And so they're not coming here. Make a note, we're going to them for this. I think that puts us at a disadvantage going in.
You know what puts us at a disadvantage? The reality of the situation. They
Yeah.
are our biggest supplier. We're their biggest client, but they have many other clients, and they can and already have begun to build an economy without the U.S. Now, they want to make a deal. I think that's true. And I think it's very true that we want to make a deal. But the other huge card they have is what? They own our debt. Without China, we couldn't run up this incredible debt that we have. So China, if they were to drop American debt, they would destroy the U.S. economy. I've always felt that the real evolved battles of the future, and I frankly thought this was the future because I had these thoughts back in the 80s. The way in which battles will be fought wouldn't be through hot wars. They would be through economics. They would be through engaging in the world economy. And that's why America and China really have upper hands in all of this. And the EU, that's one of the reasons that the EU bound itself together with all of those different countries. There's greater strength in the EU as a result of that. And in the world economy, there is a real dominance and a shifting and a constant movement. And that's all very important. Well, China, and I'm not to say that China hasn't acted as outlaws when it comes to intellectual property and it comes to many of the ways that they do business, but to pursue this ridiculous tariff policy on them, it hasn't been thought out. It really was something that Trump just acted upon in this impulsive way without thinking about the future. That puts us way behind the eight ball, and they do have the leverage, as Kim has just said. And so what's reflected in the fact that they are meeting in Switzerland, in Geneva?
Mm-hmm.
We are going to them, and we're going to end up bowing to them in the
That's
end.
right.
Now, I don't think that's the way it'll be represented. I'm sure it'll be represented here that, they blinked first. No, they really do have a considerable leverage in this conversation about trade.
The fact that we have to chase them down to, somewhere in Europe on their travels, it speaks volumes.
Yes, exactly right. So good luck, American negotiators. It's got to be crazy to have to pursue the policies of this mad king, because these policies are so half-baked. They are so ridiculous. They're absurd, and they represent a kind of economic malpractice. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's been given the world's leading economy, and he is shooting holes in the boat, and he can sink it. So I'll be very interested to see what they actually come up with. There were some more appointments. You saw Giuliani's son got an appointment from the new administration. I say the new administration, they're only 3 months in or whatever. There's a bunch of, again, self-dealing. We can get into it tomorrow.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great.
Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.